How is everyone doing today? I would like to start off by saying, apparently there is a guy who despises Scott's voice. He would like, I'm going to start this episode off with that. Who keeps doing the voice impressions in this video? That shit is annoying. How does that make you feel, Scott?
I don't care, honestly.
Oh, okay.
But I'm glad they're listening to the show. Thank you so much for listening.
Yeah, to this guy, we apologize if anything we do is annoying on here, because we certainly don't mean it. I have no control over anything that happens, including what I say. I am very sorry about
That's
that.
dangerous.
Yep.
I have no control over those voice outbursts either. They simply come out of my soul.
Yeah, it's usually just like a guy who we have caged up, and then sometimes he gets out and he starts screaming in the mic, and Scott has to send him out to the pasture down in Texas.
I mean, sometimes we all hear voices in our heads. You know, it could be you could be going crazy. I don't know.
Maybe it's you making the voices. You ever think about that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe maybe they're making voices while they're listening to us talk, like by themselves.
Mm-hmm. But in a serious note, if you guys actually have any constructive criticism, please never fear to put that in the comments below. We do actually read the comments, obviously, because we just went on a 1-minute tangent about this. So we are listening to you guys. And since this is such a young podcast, that we are more than willing to take criticism and alter the show, unless you have to say anything negative, and then, of course, we won't do anything about it. Sorry. Okay, so
Wait, can I read one more comment?
Oh, yes, you go right ahead.
Someone else commented on our last cast and said Jacob should go back to doing the quack. It doesn't quite say quack. I think he meant quack. And it says, and maybe keep the movie reviews, but please bring back the games. And what I don't understand is we have brought back the games. Like, all the gaming stuff's back. Like, we talk about games all the time. We do this podcast every single week. We do Gamefinity videos. Like, there's lots of games and they're back. So I don't understand. Anyway, okay, you can go ahead and continue.
Okay. So this week there are not too many topics we have, but there is one big one that kind of sent a little spark up and down the Skype chat the last couple of days. But first, I do want to mention, as a public servant, as I like to call myself to technology, okay, if you guys are a regular listener of the show, you know that I work in a cell phone store. And I would just like to say, holy goddamn dicks, if you go into a phone store, know your passwords to all your shit, because I am so tired of dealing with helpless, lazy people who do not know absolutely anything about technology, and it drives me absolutely goddamn insane. So just know your passwords. Just know your passwords. That's all I want. That's all I need. And it makes my job easier. And just quit complaining whenever you think something is free and it's not free. And that's all I have to say. So, okay. That felt good to get out. Anyone else have any job complaints they have to get out now before we actually start?
I have many that I could say, but none that I would feel safe saying. So
I feel totally safe saying mine.
Yeah. I could honestly
really have any complaints.
Yeah, I could devote like months to talking about things that I feel could be better in my workplace.
Yeah, I do too, but that's all I had to say for now. I had a lot of people that sucked today that I had to deal with, so I just needed that to get out of my system. But for the main topic, and what the podcast is probably going to be called, and let's just be honest, it's going to get hits, I'm sure, is Mario dying? This is something that hey, you will get your time to talk. This is something, I don't even know how this started. I think I mentioned, I don't even know how this started.
You started with, Mario is dead. LOL. You just sent that, and I'm like, what are you actually talking about, Mario?
Oh, what? No, you sent me a link to the fact that Mario Party Star Rush sold like hot dicks in Japan, and I don't mean that in the pleasurable sense.
Yeah, they sold less than 30,000.
I responded with, I hope Nintendo starts to realize how dead Mario is, which, in retrospect, was a little let's just say over exaggerating, and I apologize for this if I ruffled any feathers with that statement.
It's a very bold statement to say that the most iconic video game franchise of all time is dead.
I didn't mean dead. I should have said dying as a brand because let's face it, he is. The sales have shown this. Like with the growth of the video game industry as a whole, we should be seeing more Mario sales, but we don't, and we see the rest of the Mario series failing in comparison to the 2D and 3D Mario games, which have maintained their sales numbers and along with Mario Kart. But as far as Paper Mario goes and all the Mario sports games and Mario Party, I mean, they aren't exactly being reflective in their quality with sales numbers
Well, that's
in regards
because
to how the video game industry has grown. That's what I'm saying.
well, I mean, there's a lot of reasons for that. I mean, first off, like the Mario sports games, Mario Party, and even Paper Mario to an extent have all declined in quality significantly. And on top of that, I mean, aside from the 3DS, the hardware hasn't been up to snuff, so it's not a surprise at all that the Mario games on the Wii U have performed poorly because almost nobody even knows what a Wii U is to begin with.
Yeah, and I mean, I wasn't saying like I was saying as a collective whole, the brand just doesn't have as much clout as it used to. That's really all I was getting at with that. Just because, like you just said, I mean, they have declined in quality. Except for I feel Mario Kart has maintained its quality over the years. Now, people know my opinions on 3D Land and 3D World. I think those games are very mediocre and subpar in regards to the rest of the 2D and 3D Mario games. And then the same with New Super Mario Brothers. But me and Scott, what we said last night, we were just saying there has been such an oversaturation of Mario games in the Wii and the DS and the Wii U and 3DS years that it got to the point where they were declining in quality. Plus, there were just way too many of them. And I feel like it just led people to kind of look at it as a lame franchise, just to be real.
I think
And
that
go
if
ahead.
they were to, even if they did all great Mario games, the fact that there were just so many in such a short amount of time, people have Mario fatigue. That's all I was really saying about
Yeah.
that. Like,
Yeah, Mario has definitely plateaued. I'm not going to lie about that. But I mean, if this new Mario game on the Switch is like fantastic, then and it sells a lot of units, I guarantee you Mario will get popular again. Especially with the release of Super Mario Run, that's really going to push up the Mario brand up as well.
And trust me, I hope that happens. I mean, I feel that I was just as big of a Mario fan as anyone in the early thousands and the late 90s. It was one of my favorite franchises. I mean, everything that was Mario related I bought and beat and played the hell out of. So I feel that I've taken a big leap here by saying that one of my once favorite franchises has slowly been dying over the past few years, and I really hope that Super Mario Run reinvigorates the franchise in a big way. I think it will, and I hope the new 3D Mario does as well. But
so with
we
Mario
will see.
Run, I was telling Nathaniel about this before you came on, Jacob, and we started the podcast, but there was an interview that I was reading from Bloomberg with Tatsumi Kimishima, the CEO of Nintendo, and apparently at some point, I don't know when this was, but Tim Cook, CEO of Apple, reported that there's over 20 million people who have signed up to receive notifications about the release of Mario Run.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of interest, and I'm thinking that not just because of Pokemon Go, but basically because it's Mario and because like those are just the people who want to receive notifications, that we're going to see probably a bare minimum of a couple million downloads in the first week, but or maybe even higher. Like it would not surprise me if this was something that just basically ended up on everyone's phone. The question is for how long? Like in my mind, like everything about Nintendo right now is like, do they have staying power with anything? Like, yeah, we think that they have some things planned for the immediate future, and yeah, people are probably going to buy some stuff, but the same thing kind of happened with the Wii, where everyone bought one, and then after a few months, it mostly sat on people's shelves. So that's kind of what I'm
Well,
thinking about when it comes to just about everything they're doing.
I guess with Mario Run, I don't think it's going to last for that long. I think people will play the game and own it for a few months, kind of like with Miitomo. Miitomo was only like a month, But Pokemon Go has really declined a lot recently. And I think Mario Run will last for a few months. But the thing is, that's kind of all phone games because they don't have the depth to really last for a long time unless it's something that's really, really addicting. Like, I don't know, like Candy Crush or Clash of Kings or whatever the hell kind of ad I keep seeing. Clash of Clans, yeah. Like those games last for a while because there's actually a lot within them. But Mario Run, it doesn't look like it's going to have too much content within themselves. So it wouldn't be that surprising if we don't really see people playing that game for a long time. But hopefully the Mario game for the Switch will have a lot more to do within the game. They'll have a lot of replay value, and people will want to play that game for months and years to come.
I'm personally really thrilled.
I could not believe the fact that there was already like analysis videos over the 6 seconds of freaking footage that we saw on the Switch video.
God damn it. Game Explain going with a 13-minute analysis for 10 seconds of footage. That's
was it
Game
even
Explain.
that much?
Yeah, it was like 9 or 10 seconds.
That was ridiculous. Like, what? Like, why?
6 seconds of footage is enough for the internet to run with for like 3 months straight, so...
Oh, it drives
Andre
me crazy.
is a god at analyzing things. Like, Jesus.
And then it'll come out and it'll be popular for a week and everyone will be so freaking sick of it.
I don't know.
Oh my god. Technology sucks sometimes.
I am really excited about the Switch Mario. Like, when I saw that in the reveal trailer, I did get super hyped because it was so obviously like Mario 64 style. And so that got me excited. But yeah, like again... You might be right.
People keep saying that though, but how is it Mario 64 styled?
Yeah, I don't know about that. I mean, there are some signs.
Looks like 3D World.
The movement and the controls were straight Mario 64. It looked like to me.
The long jump and triple jump were in Mario Galaxy, and I'm pretty sure there was a long jump in Mario 3D World as well.
Yeah, to me it looked like 3D World with a triple jump.
And it could be Mario 64 because we did see the heart signifying that you could, heal yourself just like in Mario 64. So it could be a reboot to that, but I think that's the only sort of proof that we could go off of if it's like an actual reboot or not.
I would love that. I
want it to be a reboot.
God, give me that so bad.
By the way,
I need something to spark my interest in Mario again. Like as we've already seen here, I do think the franchise is dying, at least in my heart. It is, and in my mind, it has not captured the hearts and souls of millions, in my opinion, such as the Nintendo Switch trailer has. I just really, 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 really want a Mario 64 sequel.
Well, I don't know if it'll be a sequel, but I would just be happy with them returning to that style. Yeah, I just want them to go back to the basics, do what they do best, and like because Mario 64 and to a certain extent. The immediate games coming after it, Sunshine Galaxy, those games did a lot for 3D platforming, but especially 64. And if they were to just go back to those roots, I think it would do a lot for them. And there's a lot of people who want to play that kind of a Mario game. Me included.
Did you guys see the thing on Facebook where Charles Martinet, who's the voice of Mario, said that he was now the former voice of Mario? Yes. And everyone lost their minds.
It is sad.
That was so funny. I think it was just a Facebook glitch, though.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, because he came out and said that he still is doing Mario, and I mean, everyone lost their minds, and I was laughing so hard about it because I'm like, there are people out there, such as Nathaniel, who do a flawless Mario impression and could easily fill his shoes, and you wouldn't even know the difference, probably.
Is that right?
I wouldn't say it flawless, but
I would say flawless.
Oh.
I'm just trying to get back on your good side since you think that I hate Nintendo now.
No, I just think you over-exaggerated. That's all I'm saying.
Because that's who I am. I'm part Italian. I have to over-exaggerate everything.
No
offense.
I know.
No offense, but that is part of it.
You caught me in the right mood where I was like, what the fuck? Because sometimes
Did you just get done like with a furious shit and you were just ready to go at me?
I don't remember what kind of mood I was in. I don't know.
You must have been mad. You jumped on that. That's all right. I ruffle the jimmies of people I know.
It's
the
okay.
Jimmies?
The jimmies.
The Jimmies.
The Jimmy Jans. As far as this topic goes, I really don't have much more to say. I strongly hope that Mario returns to his former glory, in my opinion. Not that what they've come out with in recent years has been terrible, but it just has not lived up to what he once, I guess, stood for. I make him sound like a politician, and I don't know why. he, in my opinion, like the quality just hasn't been there because it fell into a level of mediocrity with the new Super Mario Brothers years, and it kind of affected everything else. It's upsetting.
Imagine what the difference was when they were doing Mario 64 versus Galaxy, for example, or especially the difference between Mario 64 and 3D World. In Mario 64, the whole thing was about like how do we really translate from what used to be a 2D game into a 3D experience? And moreover, this also has to be the flagship. And I think that with other Mario games, especially because they're releasing them on multiple platforms and they're trying out different concepts and stuff, they kind of stopped seeing it as a flagship and they started seeing it more as just, well, this is simply one of our bigger money making franchises. And if we just slap Nintendo or Mario's face onto this game, then it's kind of like Coca-Cola. It's just our brand, and we're just going to put it everywhere, and it'll work. But the thing is that that was not the factor that made Mario 64 and or any game of a similar caliber like what that game is. It's just it has to be about those mechanics again, and really like kind of immersing immersing bringing people into that universe, so to speak. Like I don't feel like a lot of the later Mario games have done the same thing. Like people don't want to play a bunch of like a series of courses. They want to feel like they're in that Mushroom Kingdom world. Like that was one of the big huge appeals behind Mario 64. When you're launched into the game right outside that castle and you're like looking at it for the first time, especially back then, and you're like, oh, this is the first time I've seen what the world of Mario actually looks like.
Yeah. And I wouldn't say we're expecting this new Mario game to revolutionize the way platformers work, because there's really not much more they can do in terms of revolutionizing. We just, like you were talking about, Scott, we just wanted to go back to a higher level of immersion. And I would personally like the control scheme to be more advanced and in-depth like it used to be in 64 and Sunshine. Have a lot of hidden moves that you can use to help yourself move faster throughout the game, because I feel like a lot of that was really taken out in Galaxy 1 and 2.
Well, we have good old controllers again, so they might.
That's true. That's true.
The main thing I want to see make a return is the breakdancing.
Yes. Oh, you know what kind of worries me, though?
That's about it.
Now that I just thought about this, what if they simplified this Mario again so that it can be used for every type of controller, including the Joy-Con controllers? Oh, God. I really hope they don't do that. But
anything
they might.
That can be played with just like 5 or 6 buttons doesn't belong on a console.
Yeah, seriously.
It doesn't. Put it on a Game Boy. Like re-release whatever this Mario is for the Game Boy Advance and be done with it.
They did that. They did that for like all of their games the past 10 years. Like you could use a Wii Remote for every single game, even like Mario 3D World.
I have high hopes though. I do have high hopes for this Mario. From what we saw, and even though I didn't watch the 13-minute Game Explain analysis, so I'm not totally up to speed on what this game could be, it did look fun, and I am very excited about it. So in other news this week, I don't really know how much you guys saw. I did actually see this today, which had me really excited, even though I haven't played it yet. But there's a rumor going around that Uncharted 4 may be getting story DLC, which is kind of cool, but also kind of funny because they consistently stated before this game even came out that this is the last adventure Nathan Drake is going on. And now we're getting story DLC. So...
Well, I mean, it's not that surprising because Uncharted is a very successful series, and they did that for Mass Effect.
Uncharted is phenomenal.
Yeah,
yeah. It's more the fact that I find this to be kind of the state of our industry nowadays. Like we find something that is successful, and then we just milk the shit out of it.
That's just how business kind of works. When you find something that fits in, you gotta milk it. That's just the way things is. It's really hard. Exactly. Just like Mario. It's hard to constantly innovate. Like the only way you can do that is if you have a brand that is built around doing nothing but innovating. But that's very hard to do because people don't like change.
I forget, do either of you guys have a PS4?
I do not.
No. I thought about getting one last year, but I didn't have the money.
You should get one. You should like strip at night so you can afford one.
I
The only
was
the
talking.
only games I'd want on it are like Rock Band 4 and the Uncharted series, and literally that's it. So I don't think it's worth it right now.
I was talking. I was talking before the podcast and saying that there's really no reason for someone like me to buy a PS4 or an Xbox
Like I have a
because
really. Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to
I
say
don't.
because I already have a fairly powerful custom PC. I'm probably just going to build another one in the next 6 months anyway, and so
Yeah.
like and all those consoles really have are traditional controllers. So bizarrely and ironically, I need the bizarre control schemes of Nintendo to get something else out of the experience.
Yeah, it is kind of funny how much how much the I say gaming industry complains about Nintendo's weird control schemes, but at the same time, no one else is doing anything differently aside
Yeah.
from Microsoft with the Kinect, and we all saw how that turned out.
Well, and they only did the Kinect because of pressure from the Wii and motion controls.
But wasn't it forced into the Xbox One?
At
Yeah,
first, it
Didn't you
probably.
have to have it for the Xbox One experience? You
Yeah.
had to have it,
Oh,
didn't
yeah.
you? Isn't that right?
At first, dude, that
At
man,
first.
they screwed up so
Oh.
bad for their reveal.
You have to have it.
And you have to always be online.
Yes, and no used games.
Honestly, like I want to get a PS4. I wouldn't mind getting one because I do like being able to sit on the couch and just relax, enjoy playing the game on a nice big TV. But as of now, there's not enough exclusives for me to pick up. And even if there were a bunch of exclusives, I wouldn't have the money to pick that up right now. Like I'd rather just use my money towards improving my PC for working and for gaming too.
Yeah, like if
See,
I
my problem is I want to see Nathan Drake shirtless, and I'm a weeaboo lover, so I got to have my Kingdom Hearts. And I'm not getting that on the PC, and that's unfortunate
if
because I'd like to
if-
save money, but I gotta see Sora and all my friends in the remastered versions of Kingdom Hearts 1.5 and 2.5. Even though I have them on PS3, I'm legally obligated to purchase them as a stupid Kingdom Hearts fan.
Legally
And-
obligated.
I am not like okay. I'm telling you, man. I am not allowed to miss a game. Square Enix will show up at my house and shoot me if I don't buy all their games because that is how they work.
Oh my.
They have me. They have me. I am one of the people who have played every Kingdom Hearts game, so I am at the point now where I'm so deep into the story that there is literally not one game that they can release in that series that I will not buy because I have to know everything that happens with those characters.
wow.
I couldn't
I had
imagine
to.
starting that series. I would be so
Oh,
confused.
well, if you get a PS4, it's going to be even easier now. You won't have to be like me and hunt down every console or handheld to play all the games on. You can just get a PS4, and actually you can play the entire series on it now because they'll have 1.5 and 2.5. They'll have 2.8 on there, and then eventually they'll have 3. But I'm not holding my breath that that's ever going to come out because we all know the story there. It's like Beyond Good and Evil 2, Beyond Good and Evil 2. And Half-Life 3. It's in that vein of games that are probably just never going to come out, and they just keep teasing them all the time.
Yeah, I'll get a PS4 when it drops to like $250, I think, because I really can't afford a console over $300 unless it's a Nintendo console because I can actually make my money back from that. But if I bought a PS4 just for like leisurely, that would destroy. That would be really bad for my wallet.
I think you can buy them at GameStop right now for that price, actually.
Yeah, I probably
Like
could
a
get a
used
used
one.
one. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I did. I mean, I went on not Amazon. I went on eBay and bought one for $260. And it was a white one. Like it was the limited edition Destiny white one. I got that for $260 with a few games.
Oh, nice.
So,
yeah.
that's honestly the only reason I bought one because I sold my Vita, got the PS4, and by the time I sold everything, like I got the thing for nothing because I sold like some rare games that I just never played anymore that were worth a lot of money. I sold my Vita, and by the time I sold those, I sold like 3 things and I already had $300, so it didn't cost me anything.
Yeah, I don't like selling my stuff though. I like keeping them in case I want to use them again.
You're just gonna hoard all your things and not have any room when you get older.
I sold all of my
No.
old consoles a while ago, and overall, I have very few regrets about it, frankly.
Oh, I've regretted. I used to have like a lot of really cool Game Boy games, and like I sold my GameCube, my N64, all of my Game Boys, and now I want all that stuff again. Like I had to rebuy an N64, GameCube, a bunch of the GameCube games, and I just wish I kept them when I was younger.
You're gonna hate me, but I don't feel anything from selling my N64.
I don't care. That's fine.
I sold two
I
N64s.
I don't like that console, and I hate that. Because I love the games for it, but the actual physical hardware itself, no, I
I
don't want
mean,
it.
I kind of have to have. I need to have the console for work. I have to have all of these consoles for working. So
That's the excuse though.
it's not an excuse. It's a
Yeah.
priority.
You're gonna be like 50, and you're just gonna have like 4 rooms full of this stuff, and this is just gonna
Oh,
constantly be your excuse. Like 20 years ago, I was a YouTuber, and I just never could get rid of this.
that's
See,
literally
but
going to be me. That's the only thing I
having
hoard, though. I don't hoard anything else.
having the consoles for work, unless you're gonna do like camera shots of the hardware or something, for the actual games, you already have emulation and you can run it on your PC. So this goes back to like what I was saying earlier. And at that point, like you might as well just do video capture on your computer, which can easily run N64 games. And I don't know where GameCube emulation is at this point, but like
It's fantastic now.
that's again like the
Yeah.
situation. Like if you're using a regular old controller, you automatically can just always do PC.
But I mean, I'll give people who want the physical console the benefit of the doubt because, I mean, to be honest, like, it is much easier just to hook up an N64 and pop a game in and play it that way. I just personally don't like the N64 controller, and I think the games run better in emulation and they look better.
Yeah.
Well,
That's why I prefer that.
they do run and look better, honestly. Like, I'm not gonna lie. I just think I like having playing the more authentic experience. Like, I'd rather play an N64 game on the actual N64 than on the computer.
It's
Yeah,
funny.
see, I used to be that way with the Super Nintendo, and then I got to the point where I was like, oh, I could like SNES games on the 3DS, yeah! And then that immediately died. Because
Yeah,
I
but
could
there's,
finally
like-
play SNES games on a handheld.
There's like lag problems though with emulation. That doesn't exist on the authentic consoles.
There's
Uh,
definitely lag on N64 games.
Yeah, I don't know. Like I barely touched
do
the
understand what you're
Last
saying,
Impact
though.
ROM hack, but it's funny how much better like Last Impact looks than the regular old Mario 64.
Well, yeah, because the emulator makes the games look better.
Yeah.
Well, I have one more topic to talk about if you guys are done with this, but if not, we can keep talking about stealing games if you want.
I have one more thing on this, and that is that and it doesn't have to do with stealing games, but it does have to do with emulation and like how things have progressed over time and console exclusives. Like, because I think part of what you were saying, Jacob, is that Kingdom Hearts is what, PS4 only. It's PS4 exclusive.
Kingdom Hearts 3 isn't, but everything else is PS4 exclusive.
Okay,
Which is really weird.
And the thing about exclusives these days is that there's really no reason other than business reasons to keep things exclusive. And the difference is that that was much less true back in the 90s. So like Super Nintendo and Sega back during that era, it just made a lot more sense for these companies to push a lot more first party stuff, mainly because they were building for their unique hardware. And you just don't have that anymore. Like, exclusivity on consoles is just this artificial thing now. And what consumers actually want is they want to just be able to play whatever on whatever platform. And if you're going to use a regular controller, again, it just goes back to the PC. So what I think is ultimately going to happen is that as computers get better and better, and now that we have this ridiculously powerful handheld coming out from Nintendo, it's just going to progress farther from there, and people are either going to want everything on better computers, which is going to continue to happen at an exponential rate probably, or like if you're going to have a console, you got to have something different about it. And that's what it comes down to. I don't think that that's going to happen this generation, but I think it's going to happen soon-ish.
We kind of saw that this week, yeah, with oh my god, I have stuttered so much during this podcast.
Yeah.
With the release of Titanfall 2, I mean, the fact that that game came out, it was completely worthless, I would say, after a month. And honestly, Respawn doesn't really seem to care about the fact that the first one came out on a different console because now Titanfall 2 is getting pushed out on every other thing. No one really cares, and they're just happy to play it. Like, no one's going out and buying an Xbox One for Titanfall, and now people are going to play Titanfall 2, and they're happy about it. I mean, it's kind of the same. Like, I just got Battlefield 1 this week, and it's the same exact experience on everything else. It's just back to what you were saying about that. Like, I totally agree. There is very, very little reason for exclusivity to exist nowadays. Look at Rise of the Tomb Raider, finally came out on PS4.
Yeah, that was
More people waited and just bought that on PS4 because they didn't have to go out and buy an Xbox One for that experience.
Yeah, I really hate it when they do timed exclusivity. Like, that just pisses me off, especially with DLC. Like, if there's a game that comes out on all the systems and there's DLC that comes out a month early, like, what the hell is the point of it? Like, just make the game freaking exclusive if you're going to do that. Like, that really alienates...
Call of Duty Infinite Warfare first on PS4.
Well, they're talking about the DLC. They did that shit with Black Ops 3 because Black Ops 3 had really... It's the zombies Call of Duty, so that's the only one that I was interested in. And I had to wait an extra month to play the new zombie maps because it came out first on PS4. I had to wait a whole month for, like, no reason.
But it's on the PS4, so it's obviously better, Nathaniel.
Okay, so it was on Xbox 360 last generation. That's what it was. That's what DLC for Call of Duty was exclusive for. So, like, there's literally no reason.
It's better on Microsoft's consoles, Nathaniel.
It all has to do with how well the consoles are selling. Xbox
it's better on Nintendo hardware, Nathaniel.
Yeah, and if the Switch does, that'll be actually really funny. If Nintendo
that would be
Switch
that would be a weird dystopian future if Nintendo got Call of Duty DLC first.
Oh my god, that would be so weird.
That would be hilarious. Can you imagine?
I could never imagine
commercial.
that.
Just Nintendo just trolling the entire world, getting Call of Duty, whatever it's going to be called, like in Infinity Warfare, whatever the hell it's going to be called next time they come out with something. If they got that like a month first, I would die laughing so hard. I would have to buy that game, even though I wouldn't play it, just to support it.
And people have talked about like so much about like how like the ridiculous amount of money that Nintendo would make if they would put Mario onto other consoles, because they could, but they just don't. And like talking about the death or decline of Mario, like holy crap, if you could play Mario running with like Unreal Engine graphics on the PlayStation 4, people would love it.
But why would anyone want to buy a dying franchise on the PS4?
No, the problem is that the audiences are completely different compared to Nintendo or Sony. You can put Mario on a Sony console and it can look better, but it doesn't mean that the Sony audience is going to want to play that. I mean, it'll attract the Nintendo audience, but as of now, it's really small.
No, they would. Microsoft. They would, because a lot of the PS4 audience is ex-Nintendo audience. They absolutely would.
Some of them are. I mean, I'm sure like, you know, some people that play Sony games would want the game, but I don't think it would really help sales all that much, honestly.
I feel like a lot of people who like Sony also are pretty big fans of Nintendo, at least from what I've seen. That kind of leads into the last thing I want to touch on. Actually, is about Sonic. Did you guys see that? It says Project Sonic 2017. It looks like that Sonic Generation sequel is going to have a new character and a new gameplay component.
Oh, great. Every time they say new gameplay component, you know the game's probably just going to suck ass.
Yeah.
Sonic and the Secret Ring, like Sonic and the Black Knight. Jesus Christ.
I know, I hope it's Sonic and the Black Knight too. And then I hope there's one level you can play as classic Sonic and it's really just him like completely naked or something having sex with Amy Rose. This game, I worry about this game. I worry about every 3D Sonic game coming out.
I really want this one to be good because, like you said, it looks like the sequel to Generations, and hopefully it plays similarly.
Yeah, I really hope so.
I'm more excited for Sonic Mania, honestly. That game looks awesome.
Oh god, I want Sonic Mania so bad. I actually ended up canceling my pre-order though for it because I was like, I really don't want to pay more just getting the Sonic statue. I'd rather just have the game. It just sucks that the game's not coming out in a physical form. It's just going to be download only.
Is it coming out on PC?
I'm pretty sure it's coming out on PC.
Oh, I know that I'm getting in on that.
I know it sucks serious booty hole that Sonic Mania is not coming to the Switch.
I know that doesn't make any sense, but the project. Yeah, go ahead. I know what you're going to say.
Oh, you know what I'm going to say. Why don't you just go ahead and say it for me then?
You were going to say that...
Daniel's trying to drive me out of my own podcast.
You were going to say the 3D Sonic's coming to the Switch, so why isn't Sonic Mania? It's weird.
I wasn't going to say that.
What were you going to say
at all.
Okay, fine.
I was going to say it. I don't even need to be here now.
Bye.
That was really heartless sounding of you.
I'm good at doing that.
Bye.
By the way, Jacob, would you want to go to a break since you were planning on having additional breaks?
What?
Like ad breaks, commercial breaks.
Oh, I'll just slap that in there totally randomly.
Oh,
They won't even
no,
expect it.
don't do that.
I have no idea. But we can't go to a break because we actually have a decent amount of questions this week, and I want to try to get a few of them done. So let's actually roll that music this week. And I apologize for not having that in last week's episode. I mute the audio for the music so I don't have to hear that when I'm trying to edit the podcast. And I'm sorry if that was the most boring 15 seconds of your life.
It was.
So, yeah. So roll the music. Or should we actually not answer that? Should we delete that, or should we answer it? I don't care either way. What do you guys think?
No, let's answer it because we get comments like this all the time on YouTube. I want us to.
If you answer it, you're just incentivizing people to keep giving you those types of questions.
Oh, I guess that's
really don't.
kind of true. I don't know.
That's a good idea. Let's listen to the famous YouTuber because we're just utter peons in his presence.
I'm just trying to help
He's
you.
right, though.
I want you guys to get genuine questions, but if you respond to that kind of crap.
Okay, that's fine.
I'm going to have to leave that part in the podcast so they can just debate now what the question is. Okay, Scott, you read the question.
Okay, let's answer this question. What's a game that other people love, but you personally didn't enjoy? Or in other words, most overrated game? P.S. Big fan.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
We
Wait,
have
who wrote
fans.
Who wrote the question?
It does not say who wrote the question. We don't have a name here.
Yeah.
Anonymous.
It's just a nameless person.
I
I don't really have too many of these, to be honest. I feel like I have a lot more of games I love, but a lot of people don't like. But in terms of this, I really don't know. I want to say platinum games, video games, because every time a new one comes out, I play it and I just can't get into it. Like there is just something about the gameplay system of those games I just can't get into. And actually, I talked about it last week, Majora's Mask. And for the same reasons I talked about it last week, like I absolutely adore the story of that game. It's just the gameplay mechanic I cannot get into, and I don't know why, and it drives me insane.
Yeah, I'm probably going to say either, like you, Bayonetta 2 or Pokken Tournament. I feel like Pokken Tournament was really hyped up, and a lot of people liked it, but I played it for like a day, and I was like, this is just okay, and I haven't touched it since.
Really? Oh, I love that game. That game is fun.
Yeah, like it's fun, but like I've never wanted to like go back and play it at all since I got it.
Yeah, I could see that. It was a Pokemon fighting game.
Yep.
Yeah. You have any, Scott?
Basically, like any shooter you can basically name that's super popular. I just don't do first-person shooters, so that would probably be it for me. I don't know
either.
I don't know what it is. I mean, there's probably a few exceptions. Like the first Halo, I liked it. I thought it was good. I got into it a little bit, but just not the way that a lot of people do. I don't know. Or like any Call of Duty, I just can't do.
There are very, very few shooters that I get into. Like Battlefield 1, honestly, is an anomaly.
Yeah.
Like I know me and Nathaniel both like zombies and Black Ops, but I think I'm safe saying.
Though.
Yeah, I think I'm safe saying this, and the fact that I guess doesn't really count, and we also probably don't like many other shooters besides that.
Yeah, the only shooter I can think of really enjoying are some third persons. I loved The Last of Us, and I loved Resident Evil 4.
Third persons.
But in terms of first person,
totally agree.
Yeah, but in terms of first person,
there's just like a certain element of control that you get with third person shooters that you don't get with first person.
You can see more.
I feel that I bond more with the character whenever it's like an actual character with, a personality, not just some Space Marine shooter number 415.
Yeah.
Like in Crysis games, shit like that, or every Call of Duty game in the past 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So
I was also
like I said, Battlefield 1 is a fluke for me, but that game is fun.
I was into actually what was it? I think one of the previous Battlefield games I played for a little bit. The first Red Faction game I was really into, but I don't think that was actually all that popular. But anyway, next question.
We can answer this one really quick probably. Why do you think that Nintendo decided that they will not release any more information on the Switch for the rest of the year?
Pretty simple answer, because they just wanted to show off what the console is going to be. They don't want people to get discouraged by a price point or what's the exact release date or what are the specs. That wasn't the point. They just want people to get hyped, and if people are hyped for a couple of months, they're going to buy that thing no matter what the price is.
I think it's kind of weird, though, because I've pointed out that by not revealing the specs of the console and not saying whether or not it has touchscreen and stuff, they've caused the rumor mill that was already really bad to get even worse in those areas.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like, yeah, they might not want people to talk about specs, but by not talking about it and not addressing it, it has the opposite effect, because now everyone's just going to speculate like crazy. So I kind of question some of their strategy in that area.
Yeah, we're probably going to see more Reddit posts about people wanting to kill themselves until they know what all the information about this console is.
We also have to remember we're the more hardcore audience. I think a lot of people that watch that Switch trailer aren't going to be thinking about specs or price, or really just price. That's the most important thing, really.
Yeah.
Wait, are you saying that we're hardcore gamers?
No.
Oh my god.
Jacob calls me
Finally.
casual all the time, though. I don't understand.
When I say hardcore, I mean we're the most involved with. Lost my train of thought completely.
But I wanted to be a hardcore gamer for once.
You can be a hardcore gamer if you want. Go ahead.
I play Nintendo, so I never get to be a hardcore gamer.
You casual. Casual.
This is an interesting question. Say Nintendo creates another console after the Switch and it is heavily focused on VR. What should the launch titles be?
Star Fox.
Yeah. You already knew it. And Paper Mario Glitter Bombs.
What? Glitter bombs?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that sounds terrible.
How have none of you suggested Zelda? Zelda VR? Like, goddamn, that would be amazing.
It could be.
Like, imagine a beautiful playing Legend of Zelda in VR. Like, you're actually in that world, going around, bombing some Dodongos, setting trees on fire, discovering caves, and it actually feels like you're there, like literally there. Oh,
that would be.
I get to see Ganon's body up close.
That would be a lot like Elder Scrolls, I think, in a way. Like, it would be like Zelda Elder Scrolls, but VR, and I don't know. I don't think that VR will ever be like a heavy focus for a console.
Actually,
maybe
Mario Kart VR could be cool.
Yeah,
potentially.
Yeah, Mario Kart would be legit.
It depends.
Yeah. I would like Nintendo to bring out an F-Zero game in VR and a Cruisin', like
a vomit bag. A vomit bag too.
Yeah, like included with a vomit bag with every purchase.
By the way, that question was
probably a bag of pretzels, because you need to have some dry snack to make your stomach feel better every time you play as Captain Falcon. Every time I look down at his dong, I would get queasy.
I just wanted to say that question was from Jack H. I don't know if you mentioned that. For most of these questions, we're not getting the people's names. Is there something you need to do? I guess you probably have to have a Ask.fm account, right, to get your name on here?
Yeah,
I think so.
Yeah, you do. I mean, you can always put your name in the question too if you want. If you're dying for the credit, I mean, we are the biggest video game podcast on the tube of you, so I mean, it is a pretty big deal if you get your name mentioned here.
You're not YouTube, but Tube of You, just that one.
The Tube of You.
Tube of You is this really obscure website actually that we run it ourselves, and we're the only ones on there. But for YouTube, we're not quite as successful.
Yeah, it's basically YouTube but with porn and our voices.
And that's it.
Yeah.
No.
That's it. They can go up my tube of. What's the worst game you've ever played, guys?
Actually,
another anonymous question, by the way, but
E.T. Atari 2600. That game sucks balls.
I've actually never played it.
I've never played it either.
I bought it for my friend. I don't know why, as a Christmas gift. He was like, "Why did you give me this?" And then we played it, and it's as bad as everyone says it is. It doesn't work. You just fall down the holes for no reason. You don't know where to go. It's bad. It's bad.
I think the worst video game I've ever played is probably Super Mario Last Impact.
No, it's not. No, it's not.
I don't actually know. I really don't. I feel like I just kind of put games I don't like in this pool of games I don't like. And
Jacob
I
just
don't
doesn't
touch
play
them
bad
anymore.
games. He's only ever played good games.
I only play good games. That's why I'm so negative all the time
Yep.
about the game industry.
I think for me,
Okay, serious answer. I don't know. I really don't know. Unserious answer, Paper Mario Sticker Star. Serious answer, I don't honestly know.
I haven't played a lot of really terrible games either, to be honest. But for me, any game that like bugs out or crashes all the time is a really terrible game. By the way, we haven't mentioned No Man's Sky. I bet No Man's Sky is pretty terrible by anyone's standards.
Well, I haven't
With
played it,
like
though.
how many problems.
I was just talking about the games that I've personally played.
Hello Games tweeted out that No Man's Sky was a mistake. I just had to say that. Okay, Scott, continue.
Yeah. Okay. Now that we've mentioned that, and we mentioned No Man's Sky in the podcast, for me, one of the worst experiences I've ever had though was Age of Empires 3 on launch. The game seriously did not work. Microsoft shipped that game broken completely. Like I couldn't install it. I had to do this really bizarre like XML hack that customer service wanted me to like do. Like I don't remember how it was like 5-10 steps or something to like hack this XML file and like do all this like weird manual patching stuff, and it was just so that I could play the game, like just to
Jeez.
run it. And like I had already paid the full $60 for that. It sucked. It got better eventually, and I guess there's people out there who ended up playing Age of Empires 3 later, but man, that was terrible for me. And then I had such a bad taste in my mouth, I didn't want to play the game after that.
I don't blame
I
you.
actually do have one that I just thought of, and I'm not sure if you guys even remember this game coming out for the Wii U, but it was Rodea the Sky Soldier. It was so pathetic and just so terrible how for starters, the game's art style was garbage. Two, it controlled so horribly, like I mean horridly. This game like was so unoptimized for the Wii U. It was unbelievable because it started life as a Wii game, and then they some reason they tried transferring like the Wii remote controls like to the gamepad, and they did it in such a disgustingly bad way. And then the game was incredibly easy. Like there was just so many things wrong with it, and I was like really hyped for it because it just looked like something different. It looked like Nights into Dreams, but then this game came out and it was just like a very lame Steam Greenlight version of that. And it was just really upsetting because I really wanted that game to be good because it looked so unique.
Hmm.
I would honestly have to say that. Like, that game was complete dog shit. It really was. The Wii version was, like, okay, but again, it was just plagued by just awful controls, and there's almost nothing worse to me in a game whenever it looks like it's going to be a fun experience, and then you just try to control it, and it's just so pathetically horrible.
Yep, like Sonic Boom. I've played that too. That game sucks.
Oh, that game is, yeah, that game's really bad. Sonic 06 is also shit.
Like Sonic Boom
How do we
actually
forget that?
runs though. That's the
Yeah,
thing.
but how have we forgotten about this? The enormous amount of Sonic games that have come out the past 10 years that we can choose from. I mean, just take your pick.
Yeah, worst Sonic games. You could have a whole podcast on that.
Oh, absolutely. Just every game in the last decade that has come out in the Sonic franchise.
No, Sonic Generations was good. I like that one.
Well, yeah, that one was good. Sonic Colors was okay. The Sonic Rush
Yeah,
games
Sonic
were
Colors
okay.
was good. Yeah.
Yeah, I forgot about
Yeah.
those, but everything else was booty stink.
Which leads us into what do we think the best game of all time is?
Yeah, let's lead into a good question. What do you got, Nathaniel, besides Mario 64?
Yeah, I know that's not the best game of all time.
That's such a given.
Well, there's a lot of flaws with that game if you look at it now. I can't really like that's like impossible to answer. There's so many things you have to think about in a game for it to be the best
Gun
of
to your
all
head,
time.
what's the best game of all time?
I'd
right now?
probably say
Go.
Mario 64, but I know it's not the best.
Boom. We have his answer. What a shock. Mind blown, everybody.
But it's different. It's two different questions, right? Because like you can have your favorite game that is just like your favorite, and then there's what you think is actually the best.
Oh my god, yeah, I honestly didn't even like notice that this question split up into two.
Yeah.
Yes, please answer another one, Nathaniel.
Yeah, so like Mario
I
64
need to
might be
think
your
about it.
favorite, but What do you think
Yeah,
is the actual
I need to
best?
think about that, so you guys can go
Yeah.
ahead.
My favorite game of all time is probably Galaga. I know that is a very basic answer, and a lot of people
It's a
probably
great
would expect
game.
me to say an arcade game or a Zelda game, to be honest, or a Kingdom Hearts game. But Galaga is just always one of those infinitely replayable games that offers a ton of strategy and skill to play, and it is fun to master. And it's a game that anyone can pick up and play and feel fulfillment after they play it. In my opinion, I feel that way a lot about Namco's arcade games. What game do I think is the best of all time? I probably have to say Super Mario Brothers, to be honest. And I don't really care how cliche that sounds, but that game did a lot for games as a whole. I mean, it single handedly introduced one of the most famous genres of games. It expanded gaming to be something that is more than just like I kind of already talked about with single screen arcade games. A lot of people didn't even think about the concept of the screen moving before Super Mario Brothers came out. So I'd have to say that it actually started giving people more interest into the story of a game too, as well as the characters. So yeah,
Mhm.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say that.
I don't think that's overly cliche though. I don't think it is, because there's been a lot of games that have happened since that game, and that's yeah, it's definitely a classic, but I think that it's like still something you would have to kind of defend your position on, you know? Like
Call of Duty Modern Warfare 4.
no. If for me it's so hard to like number one, it's hard to pick either one. Like it's hard to pick a favorite. It's probably for my favorite it's somewhat easier because like, it's kind of like a toss up of a few different games for me. But honestly, I think the best game of all time by some kind of objective measure might actually be, and I don't know how many people are going to hate me for saying this. You two might even hate me for saying this. I don't know. But Just Dance 26. No, probably, probably Tetris. I think is the best game
Ooh, dude,
Absolutely.
of
I
all
fucking
time.
love Tetris.
Fantastic choice.
I actually
And
thought of my choice, but go ahead for
yeah,
game of all
well,
time.
because I mean, to me, it makes a lot of sense. I think it is actually the best-selling video game of all time overall.
Hmm.
And I could,
Minecraft would give you a run for the money on that
good, yeah,
one,
good,
but
yeah,
I
probably,
get it. That is
but I
very
mean, like
close though.
it's so simple, but so many people of all ages can play Tetris and enjoy it, and it's also such a like classic pivotal thing. Like it was so important to video games. And
Yeah.
so I feel like kind of for that reason, that is in a way the best game of all time. But I don't think that that's going to always be true. I think that the best is yet to come. So
Any game that you
Hmm.
can play while pooping almost every time you go poop, that's a good game.
which thanks to the Nintendo Switch, that's going to be like a thing now, you know. You can
Oh, you can
Dude,
use
do it on
every
your phone,
game.
you
but if
can
I could
use
do it on the Switch, that'd be great
yeah,
too.
but you're going to be able to do it with those Joy-Con controllers. You're going to be able to poop with
Oh,
Joy-Cons.
yes. Nathaniel, what was your answer?
Yeah. So It's not a game that I have played in a very long time, but I think objectively that it has to be one of the best games of all time. I'm actually gonna say Minecraft. I mean,
Yeah, I was about to
obviously,
mention that
like
too.
that game has it's like you just said, it's one of the best selling games of all time, if not the best selling games of all time, and it's because it's something in this generation that actually revolutionized the way we play games. Uh, the idea behind open world, just Minecraft took that to a whole brand new level. It controls really well. Obviously, it doesn't look that great, but it controls really well. There's so much to do. Like with creative mode, you can literally create practically anything and then add mods on top of that. I mean, the game is literally endless if you're including
Yeah,
Minecraft with
it
mods. It's a
is.
game that will never, I mean, it'll die eventually, but I mean, it's has so much lasting power and it's made such a huge impact on the game industry. Almost, I'd say almost as big as Mario's done or even Tetris.
Yeah.
So,
Definitely. Isn't it kind of cool, like seeing a classic be made right before your eyes too? Like so many of us didn't get to experience watching, Pong or Pac-Man or Donkey Kong or all these classics really kind of come into their own and become classics. But then we did get to see that, with like Mario 64 and Ocarina of Time and those games. But
mhm.
I feel like we haven't had like a true gaming classic in the past couple generations, and it's really neat seeing Minecraft kind of come into its own and become one of those huge staples in video game history.
Yeah, I would say it's a classic at this point. Like it's been out for it feels like it's been out for several years now, and it's a classic.
And the unique thing about Minecraft to me is that it's the only major thing like that has happened in gaming that also has such a strong influence on education, and it's extremely mod friendly on the PC. And that's really the first like super mod friendly game that has reached the level that it has reached and has so much interest. Like I know personally of 10-year-olds who are building Minecraft mods. Like it's that to me that's just crazy. And like we didn't really have that with the other Minecraft. Big classics.
Yeah. Like I believe someone actually made all of Final Fantasy VII using just Minecraft. That's like ridiculous.
That is crazy.
Like, how do you do that?
Well, as we have actually heard on this podcast before, I myself recreated Ocarina of Time one
and then
summer,
you deleted it.
And then I proceeded to delete it after I was done.
Of course.
Oh, gosh.
I think with that, I think I am good. You guys, I feel like we had a good podcast. Nice chilled podcast this week.
I agree.
Yeah, I'm good.
Well, if we are all finished here, Nathaniel, you make internet things, and can you at least tell us about those things?
Yeah, so I've been making a lot of videos about the Switch recently. I also make top 10s, have a pretty cool show called Smash and Compare, very in-depth analysis about the series. I do a lot of other experimental stuff. You can find me at NathanielBandy1 on Twitter. Just look up my name, Nathaniel Bandy, on YouTube. You'll find me. Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Coolio. And Scott Lee, you also create things.
I create things. I do Gamefinity here on Digicades. Please subscribe if you have not already. You can find my indie development stuff over at scottfreecapital.com. I'm also on Twitter at scottfreecap. And if you're looking to learn code, I will be coming out with a number of code samples pretty soon, which will be visible from my website and Twitter as well. I'm currently focusing on teaching people Python a little bit, so get in touch with me if you want to learn programming.
Cool. So, one thing that I will mention real quick before we wrap up, and I'll mention this at the beginning of next podcast too. I completely forgot to do it this time. But we are thinking about slightly changing the structure of the show a little bit. We briefly mentioned in the Skype chat a few days ago about possibly uploading the full podcast to SoundCloud or something like that, and then just breaking up the podcast into smaller segments here on YouTube. They might be like 10 to 15 minutes long, kind of just the major topics that we cover. If you think that this would be a good idea, please drop in the comments below and let us know. And like I said, I will mention this also at the beginning of next episode to kind of get more people to hear it, because I'm sure our attention rate for this goes down like 90% of other videos on YouTube. So yeah. Also follow me on Twitter at IndieJacob. My new show, which is also aptly named Indie Jacob, will be coming out within the month. Very excited about that.
Woohoo!
So yeah. And otherwise, I am good. So goodbye.
Thanks for listening, everyone. Bye-bye.